So we are going to be looking at a scenario where my Dutch Empire from episode, I want to say 37. Yep, from episode 37 came to the real life world. Now, it has been like a week since I uploaded, and that's my bad. Once my football season is over and once I have more time to do stuff, you should expect more videos. But with WICSO 100 hopefully finishing up soon, I thought to go ahead and bring back a country that I pretty much copied straight from Ada's Pro to the real world. Now, I do want to say this isn't just copied from Ada's Pro. I mainly based this off of his country and the Holy Roman Empire. Mainly that's based off down over here in the Slovenian region. But I also based it off kind of what I wanted, like what I thought the French-German border would look like if Germany won World War II. But anyways, this, I don't know. This is a big empire, spanning all the way into the Balkans, and all the way up into Amsterdam. You could also probably call this the Batavia Empire. But anyways, let's go ahead and get into this video. I hope you guys enjoy it. I'm gonna quit the yapping. So the Dutch are here. I only put the Dutch Empire European parts because I didn't really feel like focusing in on the American and just all around the world. Also no NATO or any other major alliances like that. First off, this country is probably going to be very rich. They have a lot of German areas. I want to say it's something, I don't know. I'm trying to redraw this border. Yeah, I don't think I'm that good at this. But they have Berlin, I want to say it's like right there. Amsterdam over here. Vienna, they have pretty much all of Czechia. So this country's probably very rich. And with that, we're just going to see them, I don't know what happened there. But we're going to see them just go ahead and sweep up Czechia, like so. And we see full annexation. Now with a short little war done, we could pretty much see them continuing their expansion east with them declaring war on Slovakia. Bratislava is probably already taken, or Bratislava, whatever it's called. So we could probably see them entering in from the southern areas. If Bratislava wasn't fully taken, it definitely is now. And we can just see the Dutch rolling on into Slovakia. Eventually, we could also see Hungary join in on this war and have them just invade up into these areas a little bit. But really, Slovakia is going to mainly go over to the Dutch. Inside of a peace treaty, we see Slovakia getting split up like this, with these areas going over to Hungary, and these areas go over to the Dutch Empire. Now, the Dutch could go after the Germans, but really, I think Germany would be stronger than Czechia and Slovakia, even with just this, I'd say. I'm not quite sure how valuable this northern area is. But, let's go ahead and see the invasion of Germany with a ton of little tiny pockets down over here. But this little sliver, that's Polish. So we see the Dutch entering in from this southern area right here. They go ahead and fully take over the border. Down over here, we could pretty much just see these areas falling straight over to the Dutch. And we actually see a naval landing happening up over in this northern part. And with these two front lines, we see a spearhead build between them. And it's going to cut Germany in two. We then see the Netherlands join in on this war. And they invade down into these areas of Germany I'm pretty sure they used to own. The northern area is going to get split between these two. And with the rest of German forces kind of just getting encircled, we see the fall of Germany. Inside of a peace treaty, we see the Dutch annexing all of these lands from the northern part of Germany, and they also annex these southern regions. And the Danish, they go ahead and take over this. So the Dutch have grown, and they're pretty big at this point. But what we end up seeing happening is an alliance being formed. And this alliance is going to be made by the British. And we quickly see the Danish join. And pretty much this is an anti-Dutch alliance. So France is also going to join, as well as Poland. And we see Latvia and Lithuania also join. Oh my god, I meant Lithuania and Latvia join. With this new alliance starting to block the Dutch in, we see them go ahead and declare war on a few countries. These countries are Iceland, Switzerland, as well as Croatia and Bosnia. It is also right here where we see the Hungarians officially align themselves with the Dutch. And we start by seeing some Dutch ships go ahead and making a landing inside of the eastern parts of Iceland. Reykjavik is captured. Sorry, my bad. Now it is. And, yeah, Iceland doesn't have the military. Moving down over here, we see the Dutch focusing in on the eastern regions. And we see the Swiss getting pushed back all the way to here. Before some French troops are going to go ahead and go in there and start helping out the Swiss. Croatia and Bosnia, they could be very well cooked. Croatia is going to lose their long panhandle, and eventually they're just going to fall. The Hungarians are going to move down, and they're going to go ahead and take Sarajevo, and we pretty much just see a full collapse of both of these states. But eventually, over inside of Switzerland, we see the capturing of Bern and all of the Swiss lands. No more Swiss chocolate or Swiss cheese. It's all going to fall. And we can look at a peace treaty. So first off, we see a full annexation of Iceland. I bet the Dutch were pretty confused when they didn't have this. I think, wait, I'm not even sure if they did. Never mind, I think Norway had this. In fact, they did. Over inside of Switzerland, we go ahead and see the Dutch annex the eastern areas of Switzerland. They then turn the rest into a Dutch puppet state, or a Dutch ally. Over here, the Hungarians are going to annex these lands from both Bosnia and Croatia. The Dutch will annex these lands from Bosnia and Croatia. And we see the rest of Bosnia being turned into a Sarajevo puppet state. With this, we pretty much see the rest of their neighboring countries joining up with the anti-Dutch expansionist pact, except for Russia. They don't join. So this pretty much turns into the European version of NATO. But there's one more country that the Dutch could maybe get on their side. Well, I guess two more, because what we end up seeing happening is Ireland is going to go ahead and align with the Dutch. But then, in a shocking turn, we also see the Russians align with the Dutch. And now, with Belarus joining Russia, we also see Bulgaria join the Dutch. And the Dutch alliance officially declares war on the, anti-Dutch European alliance. We see Dutch forces enter into this part of France, focusing in on the coastal regions of the English Channel, and eventually they reach over to Brittany and have quite ease in taking it over. And France, we don't really know why France is this weak right now. Paris is actually going to fall very quickly. I mean, the Dutch is probably the number one country in the world at this point. And using their little puppet state, we could go ahead and see an invasion happen. They're unable to invade it through the Alps yet. We do see small invasions take place along this whole area. We see the capturing of Venice. And we also see a small infiltration force moving down throughout this whole border between Italy and France, eventually splitting them in two. Now with the British making a landing inside of Normandy, and we also see them start to recapture parts of Brittany. We now need to look over to the Baltics and in this area. Well, first we see the Bulgarians push up and take over the coastal areas of Romania. We also see them push into Serbia, and this new Sarajevo state is mainly going to push into Montenegro. Hungary is going to push into Romania, capturing the mainly ethnic Hungarian areas. And really, Serbia is kind of just heartbroken about the fact that they have to fight Russia, so we kind of just see them leaving the war. And we can now see these countries start to work around Serbia. Like the Dutch are going to move in and take over Kosovo and Albania. But where the main fighting is going to happen is on the Polish front, in which probably millions of troops from the Dutch Empire are going to cross over into Polish territory, take over Warsaw. We could probably see the same thing happen over inside of the Russian area. And Poland is just going to get absolutely coerced down, and eventually a consolidated line between the Dutch and the Russians will be established. There is going to be a stalemated border about right here with them and the Danish. Over in France, we continue to see them lose to the British. With a major pushback, eventually Paris is going to be recaptured. And also the border between Italy and France will be reconnected, but down in Monaco, they will reside. A major pushback is going to continue about here. And in the first offense of the war, we go ahead and see this Swiss puppet state be overrun. And eventually they use this as a staging ground to make a crossover into the Dutch. Italy will also cross over and retake Venice and push the Dutch all the way out of this area. They will also make a landing inside of Albania and start to move up the coast, this southern area. But a lot of Romania is going to start to fall over, and eventually we just see the Romanians surrender. We could also see the Russian invasion right here. Now, Crimea is never colored in on these maps. I don't really know why. And by colored in, I mean colored in as Russia's side. Should probably start to implement that into my maps. But with a fully mobilized Russian military, we could pretty much see this whole eastern front collapse. And yes, the Baltics would have already been run over. Really, I don't think this eastern area has a chance against Russia and the Dutch. Up over here, we could see an invasion into Norway. This has probably been happening throughout this whole war, so yeah, this hasn't happened just at one time. Finland, for some reason, is going to stay out of this war. No reason why. We finally see a breakthrough in the Danish falling over to the Dutch, and the southern part of Sweden will be taken. The Dutch are going to re-push into their Swiss puppet and restart their invasion into these French areas, mainly focusing in on France and not on Italy. They move down throughout the border and reconnect up with this Monaco area. And now their goal is to mainly just completely cut off the French from the Mediterranean, which they do, in which they send out forces to go and take Corsica and Sardinia. Normandy will be taken, as well as Brittany, and the French are now slowly starting to fall over once again. A rebellion down inside of these, what is this? Man, I forgot what this mountain range was called. The Pyrenees, yes. In this Pyrenees southern area, we see a major rebellion sweep against this whole area, and eventually France will surrender, with forces now being directed over to Italy, and with Northern Ireland falling over to Ireland. We see the British leave the war, as well as Norway and Sweden, and with it just pretty much being Italy inside of this war, we also see them leaving. So now we can look at this great European war peace treaty. So first off, we see the Dutch annexing these areas of France, as well as these areas of Italy. The Swiss will get this. The Dutch will annex the Danish and the southern part of Sweden. What am I doing here? Huge shout out to LaserTaze for making this map. As you can see, this is my episode 37 map. And yeah, he made this. I think this is the start of a war or something. Take that with a grain of salt. And you can pretty much see all of Adaria right here. That's what I modeled it off of. Russia's borders were pretty disgusting. So were China's. And, I guess Dutch India, or Dutch Raj. Ireland is going to get all of Northern Ireland. We see the new French state popping up. Italy will be forced into this alliance, as well as Montenegro and Albania. Serbia is going to choose to join it, because when they join it, they go ahead and annex Kosovo. So, pretty much a win-win. Except they do lose some land over to Hungary. But the main big thing, Hungary gets all of this land from Romania. The Dutch favor the Hungarians, so they also get a lot of some of the Ukrainian and Polish territory, because Hungary was the first German ally. Bulgaria is going to join the alliance, as well as get pretty much all of North Macedonia, even though they didn't even join the war. That's just how powerful the Dutch are. Totally. They also annex the coastal regions of Romania. Then for the big one, the Soviets are pretty much back, but they do even get a little bit in Norway. A little bit in Norway and Sweden will never hurt. But the Dutch are going to get lucky. They get Svalbard. This also goes over to the Soviets. I'm calling them Soviets even though they're not communists, so. And just for the fun of it, Romania is going to get Moldova and become a puppet state. So with this, we pretty much see a Dutch-dominated Europe. We could also see Ireland joining in on this alliance. Maybe even a rivalry building between Russia and the Dutch because, for reasons. But that is where I'm going to end this video. If you guys enjoyed it, make sure to like and subscribe. And I will see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.